So, Operation Warp Speed. Oh my goodness. Warp Speed. Right out of the drive system of the USS Enterprise, right? Operation Warp Speed. Hasn't come anywhere close to what the Trump bastards promised. 20 million people vaccinated by the end of 2020. If you look right over your shoulder, you'll see 2020 receding in the background. It's fucking gone. It doesn't exist anymore as a numerical delineation of time here in the United States. Or, it's gone. So where are the 20 million? Oh, I'm sorry, 18 million. I think we've already vaccinated, woohoo, 2 million people. And of the 14 million vaccine doses that have been produced and delivered to hospitals and health departments around the country, under 3 million, it says here in the New York Times, editorial, under 3 million people have been vaccinated. The rest of these life-saving doses remain stored in deep freezers, where several million of them are going to expire before they can be used. How is that? How is that possible? Well, because the filthy bastard Trump and his filthy organization and the miserable Mitch McConnell did not authorize money for the distribution and the injection of this vaccine. Trump said, well, we sent it to the states. What the hell do you want us to do beyond that? Well, you unconscionable prick, sending it to the states while you went and played golf or cheated on your old lady? That doesn't quite get it, Trump, you bastard. There had to be people to inject this vaccine. There had to be money to hire the people. There had to be money to construct on a temporary basis the spaces necessary to get this vaccine into people's arms, you unconscionable bastard, you. And you just decided to go golfing. An astonishing failure. And it's a failure of this filthy organization, this administration, that stands out in 4 years of astonishing failures. That's all we've had from this monster. The editorial board says the situation is made grimmer by how familiar the underlying narrative is, which is poor coordination at the federal level, combined with a lack of funding and support for state and local entities, which had to come from the federal level, has resulted in a string of avoidable missteps and needless delays. We've been here before with this administration. We've been here with testing. We've been here with shutdowns. We've been here with contact tracing. We've been here with genomic surveillance. Every single aspect of fighting something as viral and virulent and violent and death-dealing as this COVID-19 virus. Every single aspect of trying to defeat it has been a massive failure when it got anywhere near Trump and his filthy administration. Thank God for science. Thank God for the people who kept working. Thank God for the frontline workers who, even as I'm sitting here in the Daniel Scapin studio talking about this, are overworked. They're ready to collapse, to give up. How many frontline workers, I'm talking about medical frontline now, are dead or sick? The dedication that these people have shown while this orange piece of shit went down and played golf. It's just, see, there I go. I get unbelievably furious about this. It didn't have to happen. The editorial board goes on, the vaccine has been billed as a solution to this crisis, an incredible feat of science that would ultimately save us from the Trump organization's incredible incompetence. But in the end, vaccines are a lot like other public health measures. The success depends on their implementation. You don't have to be a rocket science to figure that out. You can be the smartest person in the world, and if you don't apply your intelligence, it was all wasted. We can have mountains of vaccines in little dosage bottles. We can have hypodermics stacked in warehouses. But if there is nobody competent to organize how it is to be distributed, who's to get it first, who's it to go to, who's going to inject, where's the money coming from, how's it going to be shipped, what's the distribution plan? None of that has been put together by this pig, Trump, and his piglet, his little worshiper, Mike Pence. Pence goes skiing, and Trump goes golfing, and Americans continue to die at a rate not seen since we've been involved in a war. They just don't give a shit. They don't care. The uber Christian, that's the one that the shame. I mean, Mike Pence, I swear to God, I don't know how you figure you have gained entry into your fucked up imaginary heaven. You're not going there, pal. You're going into oblivion like everybody else. But how do you justify your actions vis-a-vis what your Redeemer told you to do? You filthy little coward. Oh, my God. Back to the editorial board, they write, the implementation of these shots is complicated by a number of factors, including cold storage requirements, which in turn necessitates special training for nurses and doctors. Training takes time and money, both of which are in short supply in most states. Of course, the tax revenue in most states has plunged. Some states are reporting an 80% drop in tax revenue. That's the only thing that keeps a society going, is what amounts to the contributions, forced or not, the contributions made by the citizens of a country. You know, the one source of revenue that the Republicans and now the Christian fascists have always railed against. They don't want any taxes. Oh, but they want water when they turn on the tap. They want mail delivered. They want a military. They want police and fire protection. They want charity hospitals. They want this and that. They want roads they can drive on and bridges they can go across without plunging into a river and dying, but no taxes, you dumb bastards. So tax revenue has fallen to practically zero in some states, relatively speaking. Some hospitals have said they don't know which vaccine they're going to receive, how many doses, when. Is it the vaccine that requires the temperatures of Antarctica to keep it viable? Is it the vaccine that requires a simple refrigerator? Does it require one shot, two shots? When do we get the second one? We haven't gotten the first one. And then there was set up, ostensibly, a federal tracking system that was to monitor vaccine shipments and where everything is, and the chain of communications among federal, state, and local health officials. None of that is working. It was not organized right, because it was put in the hands of these crazy son of a bitches who work for the orange bastard. Incompetence, every one of them, except the ones who escaped and said, fuck this, I'm out of here. Or the ones who become marginalized by the orange ape. So in state after state, the results have been chaotic. The Times reports in one Kentucky community, doses were nearly wasted when one nursing home ordered more than it needed. Pharmacists there saved the shots from the garbage bin by offering them to lucky customers on the spot. Here, we have it right now. Here, take it. Boom. In Palo Alto, California, faulty algorithms initially excluded frontline hospital residents from getting vaccinated. In New York and Boston, doctors who are at low risk have been caught cutting ahead of those at high risk. In Wisconsin, some 500 doses were deliberately wasted by a hospital employee. In Florida, seniors are standing in lines. You've seen these videos overnight. They're sitting there on their little portable chairs waiting, lines of them. This is the result of this filthy, rotten, incompetent, malignantly toxic son of a bitch, Donald Trump and his administration. And if it's been difficult to vaccinate nursing home residents and healthcare workers, which should have been the easy part, you have to shudder to think what the picture will look like when larger, more diffuse populations become eligible for the shot. Good God. The editorial board writes, other countries are trying to offer the vaccine to as many people as possible. In Britain and Canada, for example, officials are planning to deploy all of their current vaccine supply immediately rather than reserve half of it, so those who get a first shot can quickly get their booster. Modeling has suggested that approach could avert some 42% of symptomatic cases. And ideally, if we lived in a rational country, which we do not, ideally, U.S. officials would at least consider similar measures. But there's nobody leading this. There's nobody in charge. There's nobody fucking home at the highest levels of U.S. leadership. It's vacant. And the orange bastard you see stumbling around with his bloated, obese corpus is not the leader. He's the pretend. He's the imagination. He's the wet dream. He's the fascist ideal. He's not a leader. But getting more doses won't make any difference at all if we can't manage the doses we have now. So what's the fucking point? Huh? These pharmaceutical companies that swear they're turning out millions of doses to go where? Editorial board closes with this. Whatever the solutions are to the vaccine challenge, the root problem is clear. Officials have long prioritized medicine, in this instance, developing the coronavirus vaccines, while neglecting public health. In other words, in developing programs to vaccinate people. It's much easier to get people excited about miracle shots produced in record time than about a dramatic expansion of cold storage or establishment of vaccine clinics or adequate training of doctors and nurses. But it takes all of these to stop a pandemic. It would be heartening, they close with, it would be heartening if, after this wretched year, there was a decisive shift in that calculus, so that when the next pandemic descends, disease prevention in all its glorious dullness is given its due. Yeah, close the schools, close the shops, close the shopping centers, close the churches and synagogues and mosques. Just close the fucking country down. And for you religious nutcases, if you can't worship your pretend gods in your own homes with your own family, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why do you profess to be a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim if you can't just worship your God in private? Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.